Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome. My name is Harriset and in this episode we're going to be continuing on with the Learn to Play series. What I'm going to do this time is I'm going to jump straight into the action. I want to mix it up a bit. Let's throw in some damage. So what I'm going to do in this episode is we're going to go hardcore on how to damage as a rogue. So how do we damage as a rogue? Well, the first thing we have to do is start looking at our cooldowns. The cooldowns of a rogue are pretty much the bread and butter of the rogue. You're reliant. If you're a subtlety rogue like I am, you're reliant on Shadow Dance. The other two specs, I don't even know for PvP. To be honest, I haven't played them. I know Assassination has like Vendetta, which is just big damage, but after that, no, Shadow Dance. But the main trick with the rogue is trying to coordinate your energy into control and damage at the same time. And this is where the rogue is really, really strong. So how do we do that? Well, first we have to start looking at some of the abilities. We have, of course, one of our primary damage dealers, which is Ambush. This is probably your most burst damage ability that the rogue has in his arsenal. When he hits with this, he hits really hard and it generates 2 combo points. It is quite energy reliant, but when you couple it with Shadow Dance, which reduces the energy, it just becomes a really powerful ability to use over and over. The next abilities you have, obviously, then after that are your Eviscerate, and Eviscerate is your 5-point combo point, or basic 5-point combo damage dealing ability. That's what I meant to say there. And if you couple that up with Ambush into Eviscerate, then you will get a hell of a lot of damage. Now the trick to doing this is doing it as the target is completely controlled, alright? You don't want the target to be able to counter. And what I'm going to start doing is showing some duels how to make that more useful. So we're looking at these two abilities, and then into those mix, we're going to keep our target controlled by using 3 additional abilities, which is Cheap Shot, Kidney Shot, and Garrote, which is a 5-second silence when glyphed. And those 3 abilities will be able to keep most targets under complete control. Maybe with the exception of the mage or the hunter that they can get out of your stuns, but this is just looking at from solo basis. When we go into more advanced, when you start thinking about it as team play and how you can prioritize certain abilities over others to get out the maximum amount of damage or the maximum amount of control, while relying on your team partner to do the opposite, which is really where it comes in strong, and that's how you get high in the arena. But for now, we'll start looking at the abilities in practice and what we need to do. So up here we have our duel. I have Little Miss Lily Lie. She's only wearing about 60% PvP resilience at the moment, and it's not that much, but granted, this is just a show of how, even with 60% resilience, how easy it is for a rogue to absolutely burst through a target that has no hots up on them, no cooldowns left. Just say cooldowns are completely gone altogether, and we want to get this target down as quickly as possible. Now, the first thing we have to do after we celt, or even during the combat if you want to Shadow Dance, is we need to use premeditation into Slice and Dice, or just make sure that you have Slice and Dice rolling before you try to kill any target. Now, what I've done here is I have set up Slice and Dice in a macro with premeditation. So every time I use Slice and Dice when I'm in stealth, it'll always premed Slice and Dice. This is a good general macro to use across most of the core abilities while in stealth. You can pre-med Ambush, you can premeditate your Garrote, your Cheap Shot, and even your Recuperate. And I have them all incorporated in because the ability I choose to use will always activate that pre-med if it's on cooldown, and it sets me up much better for the opening of the fight, or even if I want to get some additional combo points on the run. And that's really important to start. But in this case, we're using Slice and Dice. What it's going to do is it's going to keep my energy rolling high, keep my energy regen up, and increase my actual dagger attack speed, which is my white damage, as well as my poison damage as a procs. So with that, I'm going to follow up, and we're going to try lock this guy down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start blowing cooldowns as I'm locking them down. Now the order of these cooldowns is very important. I know a lot of people will just jump in and they will blow everything and it'll jump them out of stealth and there'll be lots of problems and they find they can't kill the target because they're not following the order. And there has to be kind of an order that allows you to manage your energy and combo points much more efficiently to get the kill, and this is where it comes into the rogue. So following on to that, we'll open up with our cheap shot. And the first thing I'm going to do after this cheap shot is I'm going to rupture. So this is the first thing that I do. So I open with cheap shot and I rupture. And the reason I rupture is as follows. The rogue has an ability called sanguinary vein. I think that's right. And pretty much what that ability does is when you apply a rupture or any additional effects such as Garrote, a dot on your target, it increases the damage they take by 20% from you. So our first combo points is going to go into a rupture to increase all incoming damage that I do on this guy during the lockdown by 20%, which is mostly going to be my melee attacks as well as a couple of ambushes and an eviscerate, which is going to be enough. It'll be enough damage where the target can't do anything to get a kill. So with that, following on suit, we follow then immediately into blowing cooldowns. So what I've done is I've opened up with cheap shot into an immediate rupture, and then I have used shadow dance and shadow blades and PvP trinket at the same time. Those three abilities are going to substantially boost my damage, and the reason that I want to use shadow dance more so than anything else is because I want to reduce the energy cost on my ambush, and it reduces it by 20, and it brings ambush down to a very, very good level to use again. So now we're popping out some massive damage just by using ambush. So what we're going to do is we follow up big cooldowns first into ambush after the kidney shot up rupture. We'll probably get 2 ambushes off, so it'll be ambush, and then straight into a kidney shot. And that kidney shot is very important in how it follows up. So after that kidney shot, you can probably just finish off with another ambush and then an eviscerate, and that's your target. In a lot of cases is dead when you have shadow blades up. So if they have a lot of buffs and debuffs, they can counter a lot of the damage, especially if they use cooldowns. This will force cooldowns. If anything, this is something you kind of want to do as well. But under the circumstances that they have no cooldowns, it's a dead target. You'll pretty much be able to solo them with this just this combination if they have no cooldowns and no support left on them. So this is usually what happens in arena, and this is how you see people blowing other people up, because they're like, oh yeah, how did the rogue do that? He's just OP. No, the fact is the guy did not have anything left to save himself, or did not have his friends in a position to save himself. And this is how you can kill very easily and very fast with a rogue. And now this is just one of the combination of attacks from an opening and stealth. Now there are several different ways to approach this, and thinking about the ways to approach it depends on the class that you're running with. The reliancy on what a class can do to control a target. For example, if you're doing this against a caster and you have a hunter with you or a mage with you, say for example, you don't need to open up with cheap shot. So you don't actually have to have a re-stealth opener. In some cases, this is just a re-stealth opener. You can just blow your shadow dance, and you can start ambush spamming immediately, because your other target has either silenced the target or is going to follow that up with a deep freeze if it's a mage, or an additional silence if it's a hunter, or a stun if it's a hunter. You can coordinate these. This is where the coordination between the rogue and other classes come off. I'm just going to jump ahead there to another scenario with the duel. Okay, and this scenario will just be the case where I'm using nothing else. All right. In this case, what I have is I have combo points up on the target. Maybe I was attacking him. I'm pooling in my energy. I'm at 100% energy, and I'm going to quickly just have slice and dice and just shadow dance alone with trinket. Nothing more. So what I'm doing is pretty much the exact same order of attacks I did when I did the opener. And I can actually kill a target. I can do 400k damage, which is the HP of this pally, within that short period of time, which is the kidney shot and cheap shot and kidney shot timer. So that's 8 seconds, I believe, isn't it? 8 seconds of CC. You can do nearly 400k damage just with shadow dance, just with a full energy pool and coordinating your attacks and using it in the right order. Now, to keep it mixed up, so far we've seen now Shadow Dance on its own from out of stealth. We've seen Shadow Dance and Shadow Blades coupled, which is probably your maximum amount of damage from a stealth position. You can nuke something down really hard. Now we're going to see just Shadow Dance from a re-stealth alone. And you'll find that everything is nearly the same. In this case, I'm just Cheap Shot, Rupture after pre-med Slice and Dice, popping my blades, and then following up, and it's mainly the melee damage that's doing most of the work. Finally, what I will do there is jump on to this next clip where we're going to just not focus so much on doing damage, but focus on locking down the target. And if we lock down the target while you have your opponent doing damage, you really need to know when to pool energy. So this is going to help you do damage as well. And if we jump in there, generally you should always keep Slice and Dice rolling. So Slice and Dice will always be rolling during a fight, and this is the hard part about being a rogue, and you keep that up. Okay, so I'm going to open with my Cheap Shot into a Rupture, and then we're going to just ambush, and then into a Kidney. Except after this I'm not going to follow up. What I'm going to do is pool enough energy to make sure that I can Garrow directly after this, so that the player is continued to lock down, and then whatever remaining combo points I have left, I can just throw them into an Eviscerate to do quite a lot of damage while the target is locked down for an even longer period of time. And the reason you have to pool energy for Garrow is because it's a really high energy required ability, and using it as the silence really is situational primarily. You'd use it as a either counter CC or just for that exact reason. You want to stop your opponent from casting any defensives or casting any special abilities, and you want to get that kill. But I'll leave it there for this episode, guys. I hope there was some useful tips and tricks that you can do on the rogue and put your thought process into that. But like I said, over the course of the videos, we're going over different classes and more advanced stuff, and coordinating as well with friends if you have an arena team. So you can start seeing the difference in action and how it works when you actually couple someone. Say for example I roll with a mage, and he will say I have Deep Freeze ready. He's going to Deep Freeze, so that means immediately I'm going to, well, go straight into the target he's deeped on and not actually follow up with Cheap Shot or Kidney Shot, because of the fact that I can just pulse out a lot of damage instead. But thank you for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful. Of course, I will see you next time.